A new team of teenagers with attitude is hitting the screen. Should you check out the new Power Rangers movie? We'll tell you right now.
It's Morphin time!
You have to remember that in today's training lesson, the important thing is to... Wait, where's Zach?
Seriously?
Hello, I'm Dan Merle.
I'm Andy Signor.
And we are here to review the newest iteration of the Power Rangers.
I know. I'm so not excited because I gotta be honest. I gotta put my cards on the table. I've never been a Power Rangers fan.
I just hit the end of they were just at the end of my being a kid for the Power. So I was into them a little bit. I was into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the first one, the Green Ranger, Tommy. And
yep. I know Tommy.
I was into that.
I liked Amy Jo Johnson. I had a big crush on her as a kid.
There you go.
Pink Ranger.
But so I knew the Power Rangers, but I have no allegiance to them. So I went into the Power Rangers, this new movie, with a clean slate, ready to see what they had to offer. And I have to say, I found this movie to be very kind of blah. It wasn't offensively bad, but it just, to me, it was a less good version of a lot of other better movies.
Sure, I could see that. Here's my takeaway. I thought it was two different movies.
Yeah.
There was this first movie, which was more of an angsty teen Breakfast Club knockoff movie. And then there was this sort of second movie, which becomes the Rangers that you come to expect.
Right.
Strangely, I liked the first movie more. I don't know why, and I might be in the minority there, but I didn't hate some of the acting. I thought the script was silly and stupid, and there were definitely problems. It's not a perfect film, but I actually didn't mind the
actors
kids.
are good, actually.
They were good.
Not really
they had some
bad,
good,
yeah.
as a teenager movie. I thought, okay, this is fair. This is fair young adult film, and I thought they're grounding it a little bit grittier. So I didn't hate the beginning, except for when they start explaining all the Zordon stuff. Just they just pile it on thick.
They do. Well, yeah, I agree. Not even so much that it was two different movies. It's that, you have the first act, which is always, we're going to introduce the character, we're going to introduce the world, we're going to set the stakes. And, I didn't mind the first act, which, was oh, he's the football star, but he got in trouble. And, oh, he's the geek that nobody likes.
He's going to stand up against the bully.
I liked, okay, that was good. That's fine. That's all right. And then the third act, which is Power Rangers, Morphin, Zords.
Go Power Rangers!
Exactly. Big monster. I like that, too. I like that. What really dragged this movie down for me is that the second act of this movie is 80% of the movie. The second act, they get stuck in training / getting to know each other / learning to respect each other as a team. That's something that should be kind of the centerpiece, but the other two things should bracket it. And instead, it's a little bit of development and then a little bit of action at the end, but they are stuck in neutral for so long, and it totally killed this movie for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I do think you needed to have them earn it. I get why they did that, and they sure had to play as many power songs as they were allowed to. But every version of a power song I think of, including Kanye West's Power.
Exactly.
But no, there was this sort of, they needed that build up, which I needed, but they went a little heavy with it.
So much. I looked at my watch, which is never a good sign when you're in a movie. I looked at my watch, and I don't think that the Power Rangers show up until there's maybe 25 minutes left in the movie, and it really kind of rushes along the conclusion of this movie because there's so much build up, and then there's a big action sequence, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil, but it's the action sequence is where I even had more of a problem because we're building, and we're really taking our time to build and build, and then finally the Rangers show up, and then I didn't really care. I thought I would be. Their first battle against the putties is underwater, which was a little strange.
Which is weird, yeah.
And then the CGI mess just starts. It was all right, cool. Maybe we're going to slow this roll a little bit and actually see a cooler hand-to-hand, more slick, John Wicky sort of, without the blood, but still a cooler looking fight. And it just became that CGI mess.
Yeah.
It looked like a Transformers movie at the end for me, where now after all this build-up, I just couldn't care less.
Yeah, that's the movie that it reminded me the most of, and this is not a good comparison, in a lot of ways, was The Lone Ranger, the Johnny Depp version, Armie Hammer version, which was that movie was so long. And by the time they got to the Lone Ranger part and the running the horse on top of the train and the Lone Ranger music, it was fun, but I had totally lost complete interest in the movie. And that's how I felt with this one too. And again, like I said, it's they're doing Breakfast Club, they're riffing on Breakfast Club, but it's not as good as the Breakfast Club. They're riffing on Pacific Rim a little bit, and I get that, they've been doing Zords and that kind of thing, but we do live in a world where Pacific Rim exists, and they do a similar type of thing. And the action in this movie wasn't as good. So it's like Pacific Rim, but not as good. It's like Breakfast Club, but not as good. It's like Chronicle, but not as good. They take pieces from other movies and do it in a way that's not as compelling as the original. And so by the end of it, I just was it left me really flat. And so this isn't like a bad movie. There's really nothing remarkable about it.
I agree. I think if you're making the ingredients of the film, it's Breakfast Club plus Chronicle equals plus Pacific Rim. And I think, strangely enough, still, my favorite portion was the Breakfast Club portion.
Yeah.
So while it's not as good as Breakfast Club, it's not John Hughes in the slightest, but I'm still surprised that part in the first act, most of it, that part intrigued me more than any of the rest of it. And it frustrated me that they didn't just try and hone it. Instead, they had to, build up, slow build up, and then here's what you've been waiting for. And it was, I think, an improper timing.
Well, it's because they did that riff that we've seen so many times we've seen in the first Spider-Man movie and in Chronicle of like teenagers discovering what their powers can do. We've seen this now so many times in a movie.
Yeah.
And this movie spends so much time on it that I think it just kills all momentum. Bryan Cranston, surprisingly, he does as good as you can imagine a guy playing a giant head in a wall can do. I
did like him, but I got to give props to Elizabeth Banks. I thought she actually came to play.
She was in the movie that this should have been.
Yes, she's there. She's a little scary, but actually chewing the scenery. She's having a good time. Like, I really liked her a lot, so props to her. I think she tried her best. And I do think some of the Rangers actually did pretty well.
The Rangers were good. I think a lot of it was the screenplay. This movie did something that drives me crazy, and you see it in these movies that you can tell have been rewritten sometimes, is at one point Rita says two lines in the movie right next to each other that can't both be true. Like, she sets a trap for the Rangers, and she like jumps out and she goes, "Just in time." And then she goes, "I was beginning to wonder if you dummies would figure out my trap." And I'm like, wait, no. Only one of those things can be true. They were either just on time, or she was impatient, wondering if they would ever figure out the trap. And it's those kind of things that drive me nuts about movies, because you can tell like that's the kind of care that went into making the script. Is like they're just throwing stuff at the wall at this point.
Oh yeah, get her quips in.
But they don't make sense even next to each other. So
how about what makes sense is can we call this movie the Krispy Kreme movie?
I don't know what Krispy Kreme paid. I wasn't going to say what company. I don't know what Krispy Kreme paid. They sent us
Krispy Kreme donuts for the record. I have to be honest. And they did try and bribe us with donuts. They were delicious donuts.
The moviegoers may not get their money's worth with this movie, but Krispy Kreme sure did, because
they really did.
This may as well be called.
Spoiler alert?
I don't know.
Have fun. I think that's one way to have fun with this movie is count the Krispy Kreme references.
For honest trailers, I promise you, we're going to do this. I guarantee you, they say Krispy Kreme in this movie more than they say Morphin or Power Rangers, because congratulations, Krispy Kreme, you've really pulled off something special with this movie.
And it was weird because I didn't mind it until then it starts becoming really heavy-handed with the Krispy Kreme.
It makes Man of Steel's product placement look subtle.
Oh, well, at least they didn't do like 10 of them. They picked one product plate. There's only one Krispy Kreme in town.
They doubled down on the Krispy Kreme.
They mentioned several times.
So if you like Krispy Kreme...
But I say props to Krispy Kreme. I mean...
Good job. You got it eaten on screen.
Yes.
You got the logo, the sign.
Several
you got a scene taking place in your store.
A very important scene. Yeah. The crux of the movie takes place at the Krispy Kreme.
So long story short, congratulations, Krispy Kreme. You did a very good job. Andy... Bottom line, while this isn't a terrible movie, I don't think that I could really wholeheartedly recommend that people go see it. I mean, maybe rent it or go to a matinee, but I can't say you should go pay top dollar for this movie.
No, this is definitely like an HBO movie. Like, watch it when it's on Netflix or like at home. I think the one thing I do want to leave with, like, who is the audience for this movie? I'm having a big trouble understanding, like, who are they marketing to? Because I think the beginning is more of a teenager movie. And then I feel like when the Rangers show up, it becomes sort of a silly, younger demographic, like 7-year-old demographic. So I'm like, who is it supposed
Little
to be
kids
for?
are going to be really bored by this movie.
Yeah, because they will.
Power Rangers fans, I don't think are really going to dig it because it's a little too different from the Power Rangers that they know. I think that teenagers even are going to be... It's still even just a little not enough. It's way too meditative for a younger audience, and I think way too just kind of for an older audience. So I agree. I'm not really sure who this movie's for.
See, this is where the Rotten Tomatoes scale doesn't work to me, because it's not rotten, but it's not fresh.
It's not fresh.
It's right in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I would feel bad recommending it, but I'd feel kind of bad saying it was terrible.
It's like there were a few moments that I was like, all right, whatever, but it's not worth top dollar. You don't want to pay the $10 to $20 LA ticket price for this.
Exactly. Well, we neither recommend nor don't recommend this movie, so I hope you've enjoyed our review of the Power Rangers. Definitely could have been done better.
Yeah, and what did you think at home? Tell us your favorite parts. And did you like it? Did you not? Are we crazy? Did you buy Krispy Kreme afterwards? All those important questions can be down in the comments, and you can click here for more Screen Junkies news. Thanks so much.